By the end of today's video, I'm going to teach you 19 things I wish I knew before I got my CNC machine. And these 19 things cost me over $10,000 in mistakes or learning lessons, and hopefully I'll be able to save you over $10,000 as well by following these 19 steps. So let's dive in. Point number 1, you need G-code to mill your knives. I thought that you could just kind of use any file, that it wasn't super specific. Now that was totally incorrect. G-code is completely needed. It is the roadmap for your file, whatever you're trying to mill or cut out on your CNC machine. DXF files are what I thought I could use, but those are 2-dimensional and don't have any G-code, where NC files are 3-dimensional and really they have all the G-code you need in them. Now, I use Fusion 360 or Autodesk. It runs me $85 a month, which it definitely is a bit expensive. Seriously, if I knew that, I could have saved so much time and money if I just knew G-code, run it through Autodesk. Super simple. Point number 2, know your speeds and feeds for your materials and bits. There are so many variables with this, and this is why you have to know them. Your speeds and feeds will vary by a few different things, and those being how big your bit is, how many flutes are on your bit, the material you're using, and the thickness of your material. So those 4 are really the key components. Obviously, there are many other variables. We'll touch on those as well in the other points, but by knowing your speeds and feeds, that will prevent you from breaking a ton of bits. It will also save your material. You'll get better cuts. It will just run smooth. Which brings me into point number 3. You will break a lot of bits, so buy them cheap. Oh my goodness, that last part especially, buy them cheap. You can see these. Here are just a few of the bits that I have broken while I was learning what bits I should use with my CNC, and I started buying Kennametal bits at first, which cost me about $45 to $60 per bit for the projects I was running. And let me tell you, you can get those expensive bits later on once you know your speeds and feeds, but when you're first starting out, get the cheap ones. Seriously, it just is insane. And I was breaking like so many bits, which if I had point number 2 down, knowing my speeds and feeds, that would have prevented me a lot of the mishaps, but also just understanding your machine, figuring out the toggle, different buttons, you're still going to end up breaking stuff. So it's better to break a $10 bit than sometimes a $100 bit, depending on what you're doing. Like some of these big 1/2-inch bits can cost a ton depending on the material. So I like to use the Alton coated bits, expensive, but they last a long time. You just got to make sure you're not breaking them. So buy the cheap ones. Point number 4. Learn your WCS point, and don't forget what you have set it to. The WCS point is your work coordinate system point, and what that is, it's basically the cornerstone of your entire CNC file. So once you've gotten your Autodesk or whatever system you use, once you've gotten your G-code system set up, you'll need to set your WCS point, and that point basically sets the stage for the rest of the file. So you'll need to know, is that WCS point on top of the material? Is it under the material? Is it on the corner? Is it on this corner, that corner, this corner, that corner? Where's it facing? So there are all sorts of different things with the WCS point, and a big issue we had when we were first getting into this, we kept setting the WCS point underneath the material, which did not work because I was zeroing out my bit, or telling it this is my Z0 surface. I was telling it this is the top, but my file said the bottom was actually the point I needed to reference. So that was having my bit cut above the material, which was not working because obviously that's not cutting anything. So understanding your WCS point, work coordinate system, get good at it. It's super simple to learn. That will save you a ton of headaches and broken bits and material. Point number 5, wood, G10, and similar materials will for sure clog your coolant filter. So you just need to be mindful of that. The amount of times I just didn't even know that was possible and that it was going to clog the filter. But then it was so clogged that the coolant just started rising, and then leaking out. You lose so much coolant that way, and coolant is kind of expensive if you're buying by the jug. It's like $60 a jug for the stuff I use. So keep it clean. You can still run G10, like all my G10 here, which is a fiberglass material. I run coolant on all of this material because I just don't want that in the air. And sure, I could wear a respirator, but just I run the coolant. So as long as I keep that little film or the screen thing, whatever you want to call it, as long as I keep that clean, it works just fine. You may have to clean out your coolant a bit more often. However, just keep it clean. You won't have to worry about coolant being spilled over. Point number 6, triple check your outlets, folks. Oh my goodness. So there's a little story to this one. My Tormach 770M runs 120 volts on 15 amps, so it needs those two to run the drill bit, to run everything. So I needed that. My previous shop, literally the entire shop was 15 amps, so that's not a lot of amps. This machine literally was using up like the entire shop. So basically I had to get an electrician to come in and wire a completely new setup just for the CNC machine, because just having all the lights on was already 3 amps. And then the outlet part, please check them. This is how you cook a system. And for reference, this is about $500 just for this one thing. And then this other system here, I couldn't even tell you what this does, but it's cooked. And all of the fuses and everything else cooked. So you lose a lot of money when you plug stuff into the wrong system. So I had actually plugged my machine into a 240 volt plug, and my dad was helping me with the different outlets. We were testing them, just kind of working together. Well, there was a 120 next to a 240, and I had gotten them confused. Obviously, they look very different than each other. I just knew that the people who had previously wired the shop, they put some weird outlets in, so I just assumed they had messed those two up as well. So I had to order some funky looking plug that went into a 120, but had a 240 connector, so completely like not the best plug at all. Do not buy those. If you need to buy one, something's wrong. So I ended up plugging my CNC machine, turning everything on, running the drill bit and everything. And all I heard was just popping, crackling, just not very good. It was not pleasant. Then everything just kind of turned off. And yeah, so that was a mega expense. And thankfully Tormach was kind enough to assist me with that. Seriously, Tormach, thank you very much. You guys have hooked me up with a ton of stuff. I appreciate you guys. That's why I use your machine, because it's just fantastic. So to sum up point number 6, just know if you're plugging your stuff into the right thing. Just get an electrician to show up, even if it's going to cost you $100 or something. Pay the $100, because when you're replacing these at $500 a piece, $100 electrician visit is nothing. And the thing is, a lot of them do the free consultations, so take it. Point number 7, this is a really important one. A ton of people forget, and if you see me keep looking down, this is the sheet I'm running off of. We have a ton of stuff to go over. So point number 7 is, once you find your feeds and speeds, write them down and save the file in multiple areas. So this is super important, because there were times where I would get my proper speeds and feeds down, which took forever to figure out, but then through getting new files and updates and that sort of thing, I would delete the old ones. Guys, I forgot to save the speeds and feeds, so I had to go through and do them all again. Now, I don't use more than like 5 or 6 tools for my machine or drill bits, but some of you guys run 20 or 30 bits on a project. That's a lot of data to remember. So write them down. They're super easy to forget, and they're also easy to get wrong. You can get things off by a few inches per minute or millimeters a minute. So very easy to mess up. And just so you guys know how I save them, I save my files in literally 6 different ways. I save them in the machine, so that computer back there, I save them there. I save them in a flash drive, USB thumb drive type thing. I save them in 2 sets of emails, so I have I have 2 different email addresses that I save them in. I save them in my actual design system, Autodesk, and then I save them on paper in a safe. So if all of those 6 ways disappear of saving my numbers, then, well, guess what, folks? I don't think you needed those numbers if you lost them in 6 different ways. So that's how I do it. I just am very, very safe with that sort of thing. You don't have to do as many as that. You can do less, you can do more, whatever works best for you. That's just how I do it. Point number 8, your motor may not fit the recommended speeds and feeds. And we'll just keep it simple. For reference, the Tormach 770M has a 1.5 horsepower motor, and the Haas VF4SS, which is a machine I would like to get later on for my knife making, has a 30 horsepower motor. So that is a pretty big difference. You have no clue what machine the drill bit companies are getting their speeds and feeds from. So if they're getting their speeds and feeds from a 30 horsepower motor, which is definitely going to outperform a 1.5 horsepower motor, just know you can't run that fast. Or you may be able to run that fast, just not for a long time, because you're going to cook your motor. So just keep that in mind. Understand what motor you have. Try and get the better, bigger, upgraded, whatever motor. That definitely helps. I have not cooked a motor yet, but I've certainly broken a ton of bits and messed up material by using the wrong speeds and feeds, simply because my motor was not strong enough. Point number 9, super easy, get a micrometer. This one, I was using like rulers and all sorts of stuff and just completely messing up measurements. So a micrometer is super nice. This one has millimeters, inches, and fractions. So you can really use a ton of different ways to measure with a micrometer. That will save you time, save you money. Fantastic. It's like $10. Get it at Lowe's or wherever. Point number 10. Get an ATC or automatic tool changer. Now, this is something that you're not going to save money on up front, but you're going to save money and time down the road. And I'm starting to feel that now, so that's why I'm throwing it in. And for reference, an ATC or automatic tool changer in this machine costs about $6,000. Which for reference, this machine was like $23,000 with all the specs and options. So adding another $6,000, definitely a chunk of change in comparison to the machine. However, the time it will save you, you can just turn this thing on. You'll have your G code, know you have an ATC, set it all up. It's definitely, you gotta bite the bullet up front. However, in the long term, if you can let this thing run for an hour, 3 hours, however long you're running your system, then that will save you time. So that way you don't keep getting distracted and you just can't focus because you're going A to B, back and forth. So ATC, highly recommend it. If you can't get it, no worries. I'm gonna end up getting an ATC anyways, so I recommend just do it while you're setting the thing up. Point number 11, if most of what you do is by hand, a CNC machine will temporarily mess you up. And I mean that so seriously. I was doing 90% of my stuff by hand, so when I got my CNC machine, where now like 90% of stuff is done with a CNC machine, that completely like messed up my entire flow of everything. So just be aware of that. You can only guess how it's gonna mess you up, but for reference, when you're looking at a robot and now working on a computer and everything, whoo, it's a little weird compared to being like hands-on physical hammer and nail type situation. So just be aware of that. I encourage you to start looking at how long it takes you to run stuff. Start setting up production schedules so that way you know when you're running things, what you're running, what tools are needed. Just you have all the specs. Set good schedules definitely helps, so that way it can limit how many things in your current schedule are screwed up. Point number 12, keep backup bits at all time, and it will save you time. The amount of days lost from being on a CNC machine just by waiting for bits to show up is just insane. I have one bit in the collet that's basically on the machine, so this is set up, measured, all that stuff ready for the machine. Then I keep a second one as backup, so that way if I break this one, then I can just put this one in. And by the way, both of these are broken, so I need to go to my backup plane, which the backup of the backup is I like to keep about 5 drill bits in just on the shelf, so that way you always have one ready in the machine, loaded, ready to go. But then when you break your primary, throw your secondary in, you can then replace it without having downtime on your machine. You can also code in your ATC. You can code in the same bit but just in different numbers, so that way your machine can switch out if needed. Point number 13, keep your scrap metal and sell it. This is something I was originally just throwing out my metal for, until I realized there is a scrap yard that will buy my steel literally like 10 minutes away from my shop at the time. So definitely find your local scrap yard, save up your material. You see that box right there? That box has my scrap metal in it, scrap material, so I can save it up. When it gets full, I just go bring it in. Definitely not going to get rich doing this, keeping in mind how much money you spend on material versus how much the scrapyard is going to pay you back. Remember, scrapyard, they're a business too. They have employees, they have to pay for their families, all that stuff. So they got to make money on it, which means you're going to lose money. More cash in your pocket is better than in the trash. So save your scrap metal, sell it. Point number 14, I'm going to throw up a few photos here. Get your machine assembled before delivery, or just have a lot of friends. So this machine, when it showed up, it was just, oh my goodness, it was a lot. It showed up in like 3 massive pallets, and it was super heavy, and oh my goodness. And the day it was delivered too, there was a lot of snow and just mud, and it was just, yeah, a mess. So we had to get that all the way to the shop as well, because he wouldn't deliver at the shop. Isn't that great? And then it took my dad and me about 2 to 3 weeks to put this thing together, after learning all the different things, aligning schedules, all that. So that's like 3 weeks of setup. It doesn't take 3 weeks, 24 hours a day. Just if you can get it assembled ahead of time, fantastic. Pay the extra $1,000 or so, you'll save a lot of time. Also, they do it for a living. You don't. You just make product for a living. And if you want to do it because it's fun, I guess do that. Just know it stops being fun after about the 2nd bolt. Now, on the flip side of things, when I moved this machine to the new shop, which we're currently at, I brought as many friends as I could get on this Saturday so we could all disassemble and put it back together in one day. So we all did it, I think within 10 hours, along with moving the rest of the shop. You can do it in a very short time, which I learned. Just have a lot of friends willing to help. Also, order some food for them. It'll make them work harder. You guys have already learned a ton so far, so if you like knives, go ahead, hit the subscribe, and check out my knives on shedknives.com. They're all 100% USA made, and most of the steps on those knives are made in this CNC machine with the skills that I've been teaching you through this video. So go ahead, check it out, share with a friend. I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, point number 15, measure twice, measure again. This kind of goes back to point number 6 with the double or triple check your outlets. $400 bars of aluminum go kind of fast when you measure stuff the wrong way. So don't be afraid to measure things a few times before you drill or thread or whatever you're doing, because when you're setting stuff up for the first time, it's very easy to mess things up, guys. So don't be afraid to measure again. And just something I've learned, it takes so much longer to redo something, plus having to do it the first time, instead of just taking the time and doing it right the first time. It may seem a little longer than you want. If you had to do it again, it would just take even longer. So out of respect for your own time and mental capacity, please just do it right the first time. Point number 16, learn in a way you can teach. This is very helpful for yourself, obviously helpful for other people. I have done multiple tours of people coming in, showing them how to run CNC machines, different things I've learned. I definitely have tried to learn things in a way that I could teach them, that I could teach people who are much younger than me, so that way I know for sure I understand what I'm doing, because I think it was Einstein who said if you can't explain it to like a 5-year-old, you don't know it. So might not be him, however, that's a quote I really like, because it just makes sure you understand the core principles, and by knowing the core principles of what you're doing, you get rid of all the fluff, which makes it easier to teach. And the last thing on that, I also had a summer intern. Guy was really interested in getting into engineering and CNC and CAD and all that stuff. So I had him in here for summer, and that really was a good opportunity for me to learn a second time, but also for me to teach him and pass that knowledge on to him. So point number 16, again, learn in a way you can teach. Number 17, have a friend or 3 who operate CNC machines. This, guys, if I knew this ahead of time, I would have absolutely just asked so many questions, they probably would have turned me away. So be careful with it. However, it's nice to have somebody else who runs CNC machines, especially ones you have. And I'm gonna mention a few names just out of respect for them, because they've really helped me in so many different ways that put all together, I can do the cool stuff I do today and make awesome knives. So Brian Selby of Selby Knives, he has a Tormach 1100M, does fantastic, I would say world-class CNC production, and I'm very impressed with his stuff. And he was able to help me figure out some of the speeds and feeds for my material and different tips and tricks, that sort of thing. So Brian, if you're watching, thank you very much. Dave Miller, who is not too far from me, he runs Miller Metal, which is a big manufacturing place, so he's more on the industrial side of things. My 770M could fit, you could fit 3 or 4 of them in some of his machines, so he's got a ton of stuff, and he showed me how to do things fast, but also do them with quality, and how to scale your processes and systems. So Dave, I truly appreciate what you've done in the CNC world, and yeah, super cool to check out that facility as well. So try and add a few photos there. Really good business. And then the last one, who is actually fairly new in my world of CNC, Jim McCloskey or McCloskey, pardon my last name pronunciation. However, he's from the Haas factory outlet in Pennsylvania. Now, he has not helped me with the actual coding and everything, but he's shown me the capability of CNC, which is absolutely amazing. And the last time I was up there to go check stuff out, he gave me this. We actually milled this out on the machine, and this was a 5-axis, I think it was a 5-axis Haas CNC, so I'll put that video up. Really cool to see this thing be made. It's a little football, paperweight with 2 pen holders in it, so talk about tri-purpose right there. So Jim, I appreciate what you've done. I'm looking forward to getting my Haas from you sooner than later, and definitely, guys, if you can find somebody who knows CNC, or at least just understands what you're trying to do, that is so valuable. And be kind to them, of course, be nice, try and do things back for them. There's always something that you are really good at that somebody else is not. Even if you think they're absolutely brilliant in this category, which they very well might be, you may outweigh them in another area that you can assist them with. So don't be afraid to offer something you're good at as well in return. Or really, guys, just being able to say, hey, I'm here if you need something, I'm happy to help, you've done a lot for me, I truly appreciate you. Just saying something like that can go a long way. Even if their skills are completely beyond what you're capable of, sometimes just offering that and having them understand that you are there if they need something, it can definitely go a long way. We are almost to the end. Point number 18, routine and consistency wins. There are so many mistakes that pop up when you're inconsistent, and it's because your brain is not focused. When you're getting into your job, for example, let's just say you're doing a 9 to 5. If you did your 9 to 5 schedule, but at various points in the day, there would be so much adjustment and just craziness that would keep you away from the core task of what you're trying to do. So if you want to learn CNC, for example, show up to your shop every day from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. and you're gonna eat nothing but peanut butter and water for that entire time, because you're learning CNC and you're doing it 7 days a week. So whatever it is, you pick the numbers, you pick the days, but the more focus on a consistent and just routine basis, the farther you're gonna go, because there's less variable. You just know, yeah, I'm up at this time. Yeah, I'm doing this. Bang, 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 bang. It's the same thing. Pow, clocking in, clocking out. That, my friends, will save you a lot of time and money. Point number 19, learn the simulator. That I got into it a little bit, and I mean like truly a little bit, but learning the simulator for your CNC machine, whichever one it is, totally will save you so much time and money through errors and mistakes and just whatever. And I have to say, the Tormach one is like extremely accurate. You can even order the same mouse and like keyboard that you use on the machine. So I completely recommend the Tormach simulator. Has helped me a ton. And actually, every single file I run in this machine, I put through the simulator first, so that way I can find any mistakes. Also, I can check my WCS point number 4. So definitely simulators help. Haas actually has a physical simulator that it looks just like the one on the machine, works the same. I think that one's about $1,000. So if you want to learn, so don't be afraid to invest in your education, even if it's with the free simulator. And for those of you still watching, bonus point number 20, keep a repair and maintenance log for your CNC machine. Guys, that is extremely helpful. All of the CNC machines generally have a little compartment, door, or something where you can keep a maintenance log. Definitely keep a maintenance log so that way you know when the last time you did something to the machine, last time you did a repair, you replaced something. That will seriously go a long way. And if you ever decide on selling your machine, if you have a history log, kind of like Carfax, you know where your car's been, how many owners, all that stuff. If you keep a repair history for your machine, that will go a long way both with yourself, your business, whatever you're doing. Having a history totally will help. Alright guys, well that brings me to the end of the video. My name is Jack Billings and I'm the CEO and founder of Shed Knives. Probably should have said that at the beginning. Well, now you know who I am, so I make knives, fixed blade knives that is, for the field, camping, bushcraft, all that cool stuff. If you like knife videos and just skills, tricks, all that stuff, I encourage you, join the movement, hit the subscribe, go check out shedknives.com. I've got a ton of knives loaded there. All in-stock knives ship within 24 hours. And if you're in the US, it comes with free USA shipping. So the price you see is the price you pay, which is just fantastic. And the last thing, my friends, comment down below another point you think would be helpful for other CNC operators who may be new, may be experienced, whatever. So just let me know in the comments so that way we can all help each other. We can help learn, grow, do better, and make cool stuff. So thank you all for watching. My name's Jack. I make knives, and I'll see you in the next one.